What's up, San Antonio? It's your girl JJ going live on Facebook during this COVID-19 year. I'm going to be talking a little bit about sports, music, things going on in San Antonio, and even a special guest or two may pop in. Feel free to share, comment throughout the show, and I hope you enjoy. That is true. A special guest will pop in, and he is definitely here. My cousin Aaron joining me once again. Sports Talk, the first episode of 2021. Aaron, thank you so much for doing this. First off, cousin, how are you doing?
Happy New Year to you, and Happy New Year to everybody listening.
You know, by the pictures I saw on
Facebook, doing well.
Go ahead. I think you have
sorry?
I think you have some feedback going on in your end, but go ahead.
Everything was great. New Year went well. Christmas went well. Hanging out at home. I start a new job on Tuesday, so I'm looking forward to that. New year, new beginnings, and we'll see how 2021 goes. Hopefully, it's a lot better than what 2020 brought us.
Definitely. Well, let's just jump right into it. I know we got a crazy few weeks in sports. A lot of bowl games, a lot of NFL, obviously, and we'll jump into that right now. How about them Cowboys screwing it up again?
The fact that they had a chance to possibly make the playoffs today was what is pretty incredible considering the year that they had. Losing Dak Prescott, terrible. It was a little bit rough for both Texas teams this year in the NFL, and neither of us can really say anything to the other because we were both pretty horrible. But yeah, it was pretty interesting. They had a chance to win it at the end too, and just fell short.
I think you nailed it. You called it out. Dak Prescott's injury. Obviously, they had Andy Dalton. Do you think they still had a chance even with Andy Dalton at the helm?
Absolutely. I mean, Andy Dalton has proven himself a capable quarterback in his career. I mean, he took a couple Bengals teams out to the playoffs early on in his career. He was a very solid quarterback to start his career. I think the Cowboys got lucky when they signed him. I don't think they necessarily needed him. I mean, you never expect a guy like Dak Prescott to go down. You never expect him to get injured in that way. And they gave the guy a shot. And when his name was called, he came up and he did what he was supposed to do. If the Cowboys, had a better defense, if they, had a little bit more luck down the stretch, they might be in a different situation. But I think, they got everything that they could out of Andy Dalton. And, looking onto the future, they're actually in a pretty bright spot knowing, they have some weapons at wide receiver. They have a great running back. They have an offensive line. If they can improve that defense, they could be, back to the Cowboys that we knew, 20 years ago.
I think the most disappointing thing for me was actually number 21. Their running back he was horrible this year. I mean, I don't know. The fumbles, it just looked like he was not focused half the season, and he couldn't be that leader that they also needed. And I think that's what cost them.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott, for the last 5 years, he's been one of the best running backs in football. And to see his issues with fumbles, drop passes, all this thing was pretty interesting to me because he's always been so dependable. And you thought, when Dak went down, he was going to be the guy to carry that weight, and he just didn't show up when they needed him to. And I don't know if it was something in his head or, something else, but he just didn't have it this year, and that definitely hurt the Cowboys a lot.
Of course, the Giants beating the Cowboys 23-19. The Giants going 3-0 at home against the NFC East for the first time since 2005, which is kind of crazy. I didn't think they'd, even a statistic like that stood for them. But 3-0 at home versus the NFC East, that helps you out a little bit. But
absolutely,
the Redskins obviously playing right now. We'll get into that game a little later. But the Texans. Obviously the Titans with the win clinched the AFC South for the first time since 2008. Do you see J.J. Watt returning to the Texans?
I'm not entirely sure. As a native Houstonian and a day one Texans fan since they joined the league, uh, and knowing what JJ has meant to Houston, I hope we find a way to keep him. But at the same time, he's that person that you can't not root for. He's that person you want to see successful. So as a Houston fan, I want him to go be successful. And if he can't do that in Houston, I want him to go do that somewhere else. I think, he's obviously he's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's one of the best defensive ends to ever play the game. He's proven that, if he didn't have injuries here and there, people he'd probably see a lot more success.
Mhm.
And if it means putting the Texans organization in a better position with draft picks, anything like that, and he goes to a spot where he can be successful and possibly do something special, I'm all for that. The Texans are in a terrible spot right now. They have no draft picks. They got the number 3 pick in the draft, but it's going to Miami. I mean, you just can't do anything with that. They don't have a first round pick until 2023, I believe. So it's going to be tough if the opportunity arises to where the Texans can trade JJ Watt for draft picks, something along the line that will benefit the team. I think the Texans have no choice to do it. I think you've seen, Deshaun Watson needs help. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He led the NFL in passing yards this year, which on a 4-win team is pretty insane. He carries a lot of weight. He lost his best wide receiver, and he made things work with it. We saw David Johnson kind of get into a groove towards the end of the year. The last couple games, he started looking like old David Johnson back when he was the MVP of the league. So the Texans need help. They essentially need to just rebuild. Take Deshaun Watson and build around him. Try to find a way to make something out of nothing that you currently have.
I was very disappointed at Will Fuller's whole incident. Whether, it was a simple, honest mistake or not, you still should know better. You're a college kid. You know better than that, and I'm a big Will Fuller fan, but, I hope he can get his act together and get everything straightened out and come back. I really think he was doing good for the Texans. Him and Watson had this weird thing going on. I mean, some games they'd be spot on with each other, they'd be connecting, and then other games you wouldn't even see a pass to Fuller, maybe 2 or 3. So
Right.
I just, I wish the Texans the best. I really, really hope they can succeed in Houston, and I'd hate to see JJ Watt go, but I don't think I've ever felt like JJ Watt was so angry at a team like he is now. Like he just expects them to be on the same level. They're not. And you're right. I mean, I think your mom even said it, that you said it best about JJ Watt. I mean, it's sad to see him go if he does go. If he does, we're not saying he's going, but if he does, it's just sad for Houston. Very sad day. It's gonna be I don't know. It's like we're losing the Astros. It's like we're losing the Oilers again, when we saw the Oilers leave. I mean, it's like that. That's one of our franchise players. We always looked up at Warren Moon and stuff like that. And to see JJ Watt, if he does leave, it's going to be devastating.
Oh, absolutely. But
All right.
he's got to do what's best for him.
Oh yeah. The Redskins are playing right now. Like you said, they have a 3-point lead right now. I really want the Redskins to win. Alex Smith spent some time here, about 6 months here rehabbing, and he's done a lot for the community in San Antonio, over there at Intrepid Military Rehab Center. And man, what a comeback story that would be.
It's incredible. I mean, ironically, his injury happened against the Texans. And I remember watching it live and just being horrified. They showed the replay, and you could just see it completely snap. And what he's been through the last 2 years, I mean, I think I saw something that said he had 17 surgeries in a 9-month span. His leg is never going to be the same again. I think he wears a splint just to keep his leg muscles in place while he's playing. It's incredible. I saw today his wife actually took his leg brace that he had to wear during his recovery and made it into what looks like a makeshift Lombardi trophy. And, I just think it's awesome. And the fact that he's able to play and he's playing at the level that he's playing at with a chance to go to the playoffs, I mean, it's something that I've never seen before. And I don't think any sport's really ever seen it before. I know that, everybody I know is cheering for him, except for maybe people that I might know that are Giants fans. But, it is, I have no other words for it other than it's incredible.
Yeah. Just watching him and even when he first started, showing him, I don't know if you saw the ESPN documentary on it. It was amazing to watch. It was crazy because you don't know how he survived the multiple surgeries he had in like 3 days,
Mm-hmm.
skin grafts and everything else going on and the infection that, came, and it was just crazy. And then to have him here in San Antonio was kind of weird. But it was a big thing here when we found out he was here, and a lot of people in the city, I know there were signs everywhere. Somebody put up a billboard. Diehard Redskins fans in Texas put up a billboard down the street from my house, and wow, it was pretty amazing to see the love for him and everything he's done for the organizations, and to see him playing right now. He's taking another snap right now. Third quarter, 17-14. About 10 minutes left in the third quarter. It's just freaking amazing, and I wish him the best of luck. I really, really hope they win this game and we see him further down the line in playoffs. So let's just kind of recap some of the other games going on. I know there was a ton. One, the Falcons and the Buccaneers. Tom Brady, again, 11 wins.
I mean, the guy's ageless. He knows how to win. I mean, I don't understand it. He was never the most athletic. I don't necessarily think he was the most gifted at the quarterback position, but he knows how to win and he knows how to lead. And the Super Bowl is in Tampa this year, and Tom Brady has a knack of finding his way into the Super Bowl. So he's going to have a tough road trying to get through Green Bay and New Orleans and some other teams down there. But it's pretty cool. He's 40 something years old and he's still slinging it. I think he was in the top 5 in passing yards. So it's
Wow.
pretty crazy.
Well, Tampa Bay went 11-5 with a win, 44-27 over the Falcons. First time they have 11 wins since 2005. Pretty amazing there for that one. The Patriots over the Jets. New England, of course, 10 straight wins over the New York Jets. Jets can't get a break. They really can't.
I was very surprised. Actually, I think an hour ago, they actually fired Adam Gase. But I am very surprised that they actually won the games that they did win. I've seen bits and pieces of, where Sam Darnold looks like he can be a very good quarterback in this league if he gets some help. The Patriots were obviously in a down year. Mm-hmm. But the Jets, if they can work their drafts right, they can find a way to be successful down the line, but it's not going to happen overnight. They need to give a coach time to really build something with his players. And, they have the number 2 pick in the draft. If they want to keep Sam Darnold and go get offensive line help for him or defense help for him, that's what they need to do. At the same time, there's also a lot of very good quarterbacks in the draft coming up. So we'll see what happens with the Jets. We'll see what happens with their coaching situation.
Did you see the Vikings and Lions game today?
I didn't, but I was kind of following it a little bit. I know it was very high scoring. I think the Vikings edged them out. I know Detroit kind of started off hot and then kind of fizzled out, but I didn't actually get to watch it.
The Vikings 37, the Detroit Lions 35. Jefferson with the most yards received by any rookie in the Super Bowl era. A total of 1,400 yards this season. Wow. Got a super
I mean, absolutely. He wore cleats today that was honoring Randy Moss, who's actually rookie reception record he broke, and obviously a great Viking. And this isn't surprising. He was a stud at LSU. He was he broke out in his senior year, and it's pretty interesting to see him really, really come out in the NFL and really be effective. So I'm definitely going to be watching his career pretty closely. Being a follower of LSU sports, and so I'm excited to see what he does.
That's awesome. The Browns actually clinched their first playoff berth since 2002, beating the Steelers 24-22. What do you think of the Browns this season?
The Browns, I have always been a fan of Baker Mayfield, knowing his story and how he got to where he is. I don't mind somebody being a little bit, some call it cocky. I think he's extremely confident in himself, and he knows what he's capable of, and he expects a lot out of himself. He's had a great year. A lot of people had been doubting him for the first couple years in his career. He had a great year. The defense stepped up a lot, and it's good for the city of Cleveland. It's a town that has a lot of heartache, especially when it comes to football, and it's cool to see them play at a level that they knew that they could get to.
LeBron James, of course, tweeting out, showing his love for the Browns win. Big time hometown guy, big time Browns fan. The Ravens put a stomping on the Bengals, 38-3. The Baltimore Ravens franchise record 404 yards rushing set in this game. 105 Ravens. With that win, it actually puts them in the wild card game versus the Titans.
Yes, it'll be a rematch of last year's, divisional round when the Titans ended up beating the Ravens. That was a fantastic game last year, so I'm very looking forward to seeing that rematch again.
So actually, with the Browns win and the first time clinching a playoff berth, they actually play the Steelers in the wild card game on Sunday as well. They are the nightcap Sunday night playoff game takes place.
Mm-hmm.
So that one there. The Buffalo Bills. I mean, did you ever think the Buffalo Bills would have a 13-3 record?
I'll tell you what, I've been watching them all season. I've had nothing to do. I've been watching football, and I don't think there's a more complete team in the NFL. You look at them offensively, they can put up numbers with the best of them. You look at them defensively, they can stop anybody they want to. I think, for me personally, they're my pick to come out of the AFC, and that includes beating the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs have shown that they can be vulnerable, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And when you're putting up the offensive numbers that the Bills are putting up, along with keeping people from scoring, it's going to be very tough for somebody to beat the Buffalo Bills.
The Buffalo Bills actually beating up on the Miami Dolphins 56-26. The Bills are actually going to end up taking on the Colts on Saturday in the wild card game. For that one, this is the Bills clinched the number 2 seed, the highest playoff seed since 1993. I mean, that was probably the last time they were even in the Super Bowl, I believe, maybe.
Was that part of the 4-year in a row? I think so.
Yep.
So, I mean,
the Seahawks, of course, edging out the 49ers 26-23. That one was a pretty close game for me. I didn't think it would be that close.
Yeah, the Seahawks have had a little bit of issues with their defense. Their offense is capable of putting up big numbers. Russell Wilson is probably a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. And they did struggle early on offensively. I think it was a field goal battle in the first half, and then they started scoring a little bit more in the second half. But at the same time, San Francisco was using a backup quarterback. They have had a lot of injuries this season. So if I'm Seattle going into the playoffs, I'm not as confident as I would have been at the start of the season, just seeing how they've played the last couple of weeks. Their offense has been kind of slow to get going, and in the playoffs where every snap counts, it's they need to figure some things out.
Yep, they sure do. And can you believe we're actually going to say the LA Rams clinch a playoff berth? I mean, kind of weird, but 18-7 over the
You know,
Cardinals.
I think they got a little bit lucky that Kyler Murray got a little shaken up earlier in the game, let them kind of get that lead out in front, and the Cardinals just couldn't take advantage of it. They did have Jared Goff and Cooper Kupp all on COVID protocol, so it'll be interesting to see if they're available in the playoffs. We don't know, so that will definitely hurt the Rams, especially we're talking about a team that 2 years ago was in the Super Bowl. So the Rams are a capable team of doing something, but if they don't have those key pieces, it's going to be very tough for them.
So the Jaguars 1-15 this season. I never would have thought that. 1-15 taking on the Colts today, 28-14. The Jaguars need some help, and it starts.
They do. Yeah, I mean, they do have the number one pick, so they have that looking up for them. A lot of people are thinking they're going to go Trevor Lawrence, which is obviously the highest touted prospect coming out of college this year. We'll see what happens with him. I know the Minshew mania in Jacksonville was a big thing last year. It just didn't quite happen this year. I guess people kind of figured him out. But when you have the number one pick, you can do a lot of things with that. So.
Jay Taylor, of course, for Indiana with a franchise record 253 rushing yards. Man, they got some talent over there, I'll tell you that.
Absolutely. I mean, Jonathan Taylor, to me, was the best running back in that draft class last year, coming out of Wisconsin. And, surprisingly, he wasn't the first running back taken off the board, but he's proven that he is that better back. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had a great season with Kansas City, but he's just not in that offense that requires him to do a lot of things. But Jonathan Taylor was a stud in college, and he's a stud in the NFL.
Yep. The Raiders, of course, edge out the Broncos by 1 point, 32-31. The Broncos 5-11 season coming to an end.
Yeah, Raiders struggling. It's definitely not how they wanted to see their first season in Las Vegas go. But they had some bright spots. They beat Kansas City early on in the season. They were competitive against them in their second matchup. I think Derek Carr is a very serviceable quarterback, but he's also very inconsistent. But Gruden is a very good coach, and he might be able to find a way to make the Raiders into something.
Yeah, I'm just disappointed for the Raiders. No other person than Jason Witten. I just can't believe he went to the Raiders. Hey, money talks, and I wish he really would have retired as a Cowboy and only a Cowboy. But I guess it is what it is. So we'll see what happens. The Chiefs obviously ran into the Chargers today, and 38-21. The Chargers take that one. 14-2. Chiefs fall in the last game. I just surprising. You said it best. They do have a lot of weaknesses.
Well, they have a lot of weaknesses, but they also rested a few guys. Patrick Mahomes did not play today. They were resting a few key players, and they were also going up against probably this year's Rookie of the Year and Justin Herbert, who's had a fantastic year. He put up some big numbers in a lot of games, and the Chargers are in a good spot. They found their guy that is going to take the mantle, and he replaced Phillip Rivers. They found that guy. The Chiefs, I wasn't surprised by the outcome today, knowing that they were resting some people. But we'll see if, that rest and taking that week off can hurt them in the long run.
Yeah. And you just named the key point here, Justin Herbert, 31 TD passes this season, which is an NFL rookie record.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. They got something going over there. That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Packers clinched the number 1 seed in the NFC and home field advantage with a win over the Bears, 35-16. Them poor Bears.
The Bears still made the playoffs, though. So thanks to the Cardinals losing, they did make the playoffs.
They did. 13-3 Green Bay, and you're right. I don't put it past Green Bay being in the NFC Championship game.
I don't either. And, I said the Bills were my pick to to go to the Super Bowl out of the AFC. I think Green Bay is my pick to go to the Super Bowl out of the NFC. You know, we're getting in that time of year where Lambeau Field is covered in snow, and Aaron Rodgers might play better in snow than anybody I've ever seen. He's played at an MVP level. He probably locked up the MVP today in my eyes. And it's going to be very, very hard to beat Green Bay and Lambeau Field, especially with Aaron Rodgers playing at the level that he is, and his link up with Devontae Adams has been, I mean, insane this year. They put up huge numbers, and they're a hard duo to stop, and especially when you have a guy like Aaron Jones coming out of the backfield.
Yeah, I don't know. Green Bay scares me, even with my beloved Saints who won today against Carolina, 33-7. I'm scared for my Saints. I really am.
Yeah, you know, I'm a big fan of Drew Brees. I have been for a long time. You know, him and Sean Payton are a power duo in the NFL. Michael Thomas is a beast out of the wide receiver slot. You know, but again, they've also had some issues in certain areas and probably have lost some games that they should have won. It's just going to be very tough to go. Like I said, it's going to be very tough for any team to go into Lambeau Field and beat the Packers.
Yep, it sure is. Of course, Drew Brees at quarterback, 26 plus points in 10 straight games with Drew Brees as quarterback. That's pretty amazing record.
Oh, absolutely. He's one of the best to ever lace up. I mean, and you know, his injury with the Chargers in San Diego when he was young, you know, people thought his career was done. And what he was able to do in New Orleans and kind of revive that New Orleans spirit, especially after Katrina and everything, he means so much to that area. And, you know, we'll see what happens with his career. You know, there's been talk about him retiring. There's been talk about him leaving New Orleans. We'll just kind of have to wait and see, but he's definitely one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game.
I'll tell you what, when he does retire, and if he ever does leave New Orleans, I would be heartbroken. I'd be devastated. You know, of course, obviously the Saints came here back when Hurricane Katrina hit. They trained here, Reggie Bush, Drew Brees, everybody was here that year. And they're rebuilding. And they donated everything to my old high school, which I'm so grateful for. I still have some of the markings of the New Orleans Saints stuff there. And I tell you what, I think ever since then, I've always been a true New Orleans Saints fan, and I'm so happy for them. And wish Drew Brees the best of luck in the playoffs. And I really hope he retires just as a New Orleans Saint.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Aaron, let's move on. Basketball. I'll tell you what, the NBA is getting good. And it's only, week 1? We can
say? I mean, we're 5-6 games in, and you know, there's to me, it doesn't seem like there's an outright best team in the league yet. You know, there's been a lot of really good games. There's also been some really bad games. But you know, moving forward, I think the teams are going to start to kind of show themselves further on down the line and kind of see where things go.
You know, as we start to, you know, talk about basketball, get into basketball, let's think about it. This time last year, we lost David Stern real early. We turned around and, you know, a few weeks later we lose Kobe Bryant. We started off 2021 and we lost Paul Westphal. Amazing coach, who actually died at the age of 70, but he was a Phoenix Suns icon. You know, back in the Dan Marley days, Kevin Johnson. I mean, he really helped put that team on the map in playoff basketball.
Yeah, and you know, I don't really know much about him. I actually didn't even know that he had passed. But you know, anytime a sport is hurting in this way, it is tough, especially for the fans that are really devoted towards the sport.
Now, we got a couple of key games today. Obviously, the Celtics and the Pistons going down to the wire. Tatum sinks the game-winning shot with 2.9 seconds left as Boston beats Detroit 122-120. You know, the Celtics are 4-3. They've played pretty good basketball, but not where I think they could be.
Yeah, and that's probably right. It was a short off season, the shortest that the NBA has ever seen. They were in the Eastern Conference Finals, so it could be some fatigue, it could be some other things. But it's still the beginning of the season, and they can turn it around. Jason Tatum's been incredible. Jaylen Brown's a very solid player. Marcus Smart. They have a lot of pieces, and I can see them taking a run at the East just like they did last year.
The Detroit Pistons, very shocking, 1-5. Not sure about that. I don't know. I feel like we're gonna have a coaching change in a month or two.
Possibly. They're kind of on the bottom side of the East right now. They have great players, and Andre Drummond and I'm sorry, what's his name? The dude from Oklahoma.
Now you stumped me there.
Yeah, he was in LA. He was a Clipper. I can't remember his name, but
Griffin.
Blake Griffin. That's right. Sorry.
Yep.
No, he. They have the pieces there, but I don't know. I don't get to see a lot of the Pistons being down here, but so we'll see.
Dallas losing to Chicago 114-108. I just don't know. Obviously, they didn't have a full squad tonight. Dallas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dallas has a lot of young pieces, a superstar in Luka Doncic, and but I don't know if it's Luka has been struggling or what, but Dallas is kind of in that middle right now where you know they can go up, but hopefully they don't go down.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Portland, Golden State. Obviously, Golden State taking care of that one right now. There's still about 10 minutes left, but 104-88 over Portland. That's over on NBA TV. I think Golden State's, gonna get their stuff together again.
Yeah,
will the team that wins championships again? I don't think so. I honestly think they're still missing some pieces.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you look at their team, and it's a completely different team, essentially. And when you lose a guy like Klay Thompson, who's one of the best spot-up shooters in the league, he's one of the best shooters in the league, offensive players in the league. And, when I was hoping that he was going to come back, and sadly, he got injured again, and he probably won't be back this season. Steph is having to carry a lot of weight, but they do have some pretty good players in Kelly Oubre that they got this year. They have Andrew Wiggins, who I think is a very solid player. They started very slow. They had a very tough first two games where they got creamed, but Steph is going to have to step up. And I've also liked what I've seen out of James Wiseman out of Memphis. His first game was incredible. I know they were getting stomped, but he showed that he can be a very, very good basketball player in this league. So we'll see what happens with Golden State.
My beloved Brooklyn Nets, 3-4, fall to the Washington Wizards, 123-122. Obviously, Bradley Beal with this beautiful pass for the game-winning slam dunk. Sometimes I see Kevin Durant and Kyrie on the same page. They're unstoppable. We start off these great games. The first game of the season blew away the Warriors. And then all of a sudden you see this night where they're just kind of sluggish, or their minutes are being watched and they're sitting out again. I just don't know what to think of that. It's too early. I think minute control is a little too early right now. Let's get some momentum. Let's get together, get going on the court, and then mid-season play this minute game.
Yeah, absolutely. They started off red hot. Kyrie was clicking on all cylinders. Kevin Durant was shooting lights out. I think, the injury to Spencer Dinwiddie hurt them a lot. But, they have a very good bench that's going to come in handy later on down the road. Kyrie and Kevin Durant are probably still getting used to each other a little bit. Kevin coming off of his injury and being able to come back. Kyrie, I think he had a little bit of injury issues last year. And so, we'll see what happens with the Brooklyn Nets, but I think they're very competitive, and they're going to be very good this season.
Yeah, they are my definitely East team to win, and not because I'm just a fan, but I just think they have everything around them. And again, if Spencer comes back, They should be a pretty good team to beat.
Mhm.
The Lakers, of course, 108-94 over Memphis. Do you see the Lakers repeating?
I don't know. I think they got better with a few additions, uh, but we'll see. I think they also had a little bit of added motivation last year with the loss of Kobe Bryant, wanting to do it for Kobe. But I never count LeBron out in any scenario.
Mhm.
So I just don't know where the Lakers stand at this point. The West is still the most competitive conference in basketball, and they're going to have a lot of people coming for them.
Yeah, they definitely are. And I think we had talked about this on a prior show. Um, with some of the players surrounding them, some of those shooters, Danny Green and all them. I think they left obviously LA, and then I still think they need that firepower from outside to help them.
Yeah, their 3-point shooting isn't the best in the league by any means, but they also have probably the best center in basketball in Anthony Davis. They have LeBron, you know, and then they added Montrezl Harrell, who is a very serviceable person off the bench, and we'll kind of see where everything kind of falls into place.
LeBron James, of course, today with 22 points, 13 rebounds, and 8 assists. Anthony Davis added 17 points with 9 rebounds in the game. The 5-2 Lakers over the 2-4 Memphis Grizzlies. Utah and San Antonio, my beloved Spurs. Just, I don't know what it is. They have one great night versus the Lakers. Looks like, okay, this is a team hanging in with the Lakers, and then you come to the game today and you just blow it. And
Yeah, they've had so much success over the last 20 years. And when you lose those players, those legendary players, it the dream can't last forever. So now they're kind of building back up to that dream. Popovich is probably arguably the best coach in basketball, and he knows how to get the best out of his players, and he will at some point. Utah's very solid as well. Donovan Mitchell has shown himself to be one of the best players in the league. Rudy Gobert is one of the best centers in the league. So they have a lot of talent over in Utah. But yeah, so it was a very tough matchup for the Spurs.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was just crazy. You hang on with the Los Angeles Lakers and you play a great game, and then you come out tonight and you're just flat-footed. I mean, they just could not really
Mm-hmm.
beginning of the game, and it cost them. I mean, they tried to hang in there. They were down by 10 at the end of the first, down I think by 6 points at the end of the second, and then here we go, third quarter, fourth quarter, and we just can't really make a basket. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. Hopefully
Mm-hmm.
they can pull through. I think Pop, obviously will get them back on track, and hopefully we can get them going again. But I want to get your take. Speaking of the Spurs, I want to get your take on Becky Hammon becoming the first female coach, even if it was for 2 quarters. What do you think, about that?
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, you've seen it in sports, in all sports. You're seeing more and more women start to coach in these men's leagues, and hearing some of the players talk about Becky Hammon and the respect that they show her and how highly they tout her. I mean, she will probably get a head coaching job at some point.
Yep.
It seems like the consensus is that she's a very, very great coach, and the players obviously like having her around and respect her a lot.
Yeah, that's my buddy, and I know she's doing South Dakota proud. She's really, really making them proud of her. I laugh because I went to school in South Dakota, and everything was always Mike Mitchell, Mike Mitchell, Mike Mitchell, and it was very weird up there. And you
Mhm.
have this South Dakota girl goes to Colorado, and you see all these Colorado jerseys there, and all my friends are like, why do we have all this Colorado gear? It's funny because they only have like one store in South Dakota, and it's Kmart of all stores. I thought it had already closed by now, but people were like, "What is Colorado gear doing here?" And it was Becky Hammon's gear, at Kmart, that's all you could buy was a Colorado shirt of Becky Hammon. Then she comes to the league, and all you see is New York Liberty stuff, and everybody's like, "What's New York Liberty?" And it was like people didn't know, and then it's like Becky Hammon, and then it became Stars Gear and so on, and now it's just wow. Like, the respect they have there. One of my friends sent me a clip of the South Dakota newspaper, pretty amazing, celebrating Becky Hammon. I just, baseball actually this year has its first GM in Miami.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
I just think women are going to be the future in every sport. At some point, they're going to be involved. I know, I believe San Francisco 49ers had an assistant coach, female coach. So for women in sports, the year of the women, I guess. That's what it is. One more game to recap. The Clippers game, 112-117 over the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix, played great in the bubble, and I was really excited to see how they came out this season.
Yeah, I was too. I really like Devin Booker a lot. He played amazing in the bubble, and he started off very slow. With the addition of Chris Paul this season, people thought that they'd kind of start off a little bit better, but Devin Booker's not quite feeling it right now. They did lose Kelly Oubre to the Warriors, but I don't know. I can't really get a read on the Suns just yet. I feel like they're a team that can pop off at any time, and they're just not getting that production that they need yet.
Devin Booker, of course, led the Suns with 25 points today. Paul George, 39 points for the Clippers. I just don't know. I'm just not feeling the Clippers. I'm really upset. To me, and I don't know, tell me your but with everything that happened last season, everything taking its toll on the NBA, WNBA, do you really think firing some of the coaches that got fired was really, really worth it? Or really, really should have? One being coach from the Clippers, Doc Rivers.
It worked out for the 76ers because they got a great coach in Doc Rivers. Oftentimes I just don't really see firing a coach, especially when you've had the success that you've had. Doc Rivers has proven himself to be one of the best coaches in the National Basketball Association. He's been to the championships. He's won championships. He's done all these things. He's earned his respect that he gets from the league. So I was very surprised when the Clippers parted ways with him. I just didn't understand it. Maybe there was an issue between him and Kawhi. Maybe there was an issue between him and Paul George, him in the front office. I just don't know. But I don't think it was the best move for the Clippers moving forward, especially having to compete with the Lakers in the same building.
Yeah. I can't see how they could do that, knowing everything going on, knowing where they were in the bubble. And to me, I kind of felt like because, Doc Rivers took a stand on Black Lives Matter and made that emotional plea for the nation, I think it cost him his job. I really, really do. And that's sad to see, or that I'm maybe thinking about that, but I just don't get it. I don't get it at all.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't really either.
So my other only thing is, Aaron, you're a Houston fan. James Harden. Your thoughts on James Harden? Does he finish the season as a Rocket?
I don't know. I just don't really. It confuses me to see all these analysts and everybody saying, "Oh, James Harden's in a bad spot in Houston. James Harden wants out. James Harden wants this. James Harden wants that." I just don't know if I believe it all. You see him on the court; he's still playing at the high level that we've seen from James Harden. They put these pieces in place to try to help him and try to get him over the hump that he just can't seem to get over. I mean, Christian Wood is playing out of his mind right now, and people weren't really sure how that was going to pan out because he really didn't show much before he got to Houston. I think he's averaging like 25 points a game and 9 rebounds. I think he had 15 rebounds the other night. I mean, he's a good young player, and the addition of John Wall has also worked out pretty well. The pieces are there in Houston, and I love our new head coach. I think he's going to be great. I just seeing them move the ball better on the floor that we didn't see with Mike D'Antoni is showing. Obviously they struggled in the first 2 games of the season. They had no John Wall. They had no Boogie Cousins. They had some key players that couldn't play. But you see them play right now, and yes, they were without James Harden last night, but they were still playing at a high level that we've seen from the Houston Rockets. I hope James Harden does stay in Houston because, he's your star player. You never want to see your star player leave. But I think he's also lost some trust in Houston and with the fans that he's going to have to earn back if he does indeed want to stay in Houston. It's definitely going to be a hot topic through the NBA all season, whether he does leave, whether he doesn't. But I'll tell you what, he's one of the best players in the NBA, and I'd love to see him stay in Houston.
Definitely. I would too. I really hope he can figure out whatever it is he's going on. Obviously, do you think too, maybe they should have stayed in the bubble, the NBA?
I don't know. The bubble was fantastic. I mean, we didn't really know what was going to happen with the NBA and in the bubble, and they did a great job of not only being able to play the games, but putting out a great product and a great visual product, and giving the fans something to watch, and putting on a great show while they did it. I think if the players wanted to be in the bubble, they would have done the bubble, but I just don't know if the players wanted to do that. It's tough for those players not being able to see their families as much as they do because they're traveling so much, and that bubble just made it even worse. So they could have gone that route, but I just don't think the players wanted that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was safe. It's a safe way to have basketball and nobody getting COVID and all this stuff. But you're right. I mean, taking them away from their families for X amount of months was not going to work either. I know LaMarcus Aldridge probably would not have gone, considering he raises his kids. So I don't know. I don't know how we can make this any safer. People are still going to get COVID. Obviously, we've seen some of the effects of it on the NBA as of right now too. I see somebody just news flash just came in about another COVID incident in the NBA, but I just don't know how much more longer we have to play without any more incidents. I want to see the fans back. I know Houston does allow fans, correct?
Yeah, I believe they allow a certain percentage of fans, which is great because, people need to get out of the house. They need to have something to go do. They need to have something to watch. So any chance that somebody might get to be able to go see a sporting event, I'd take. I mean, I would love once Major League Baseball comes back, I'd love to go to an Astros game. I'd love to be able to go do that again and have some sense of normalcy. But I enjoy seeing the fans in the stands. It's showing me that we are on the right track, and that they want to get back to that spot where we can have a full house.
So many people actually blame Coach Popovich for not having fans. I think it's hilarious, but this was actually actually Bear County building. So of course, a Bear County Nelson Wolf here in San Antonio judge, absolutely said no fans. And it starts there. It starts with the mayor and Nelson Wolf, not the Spurs, so much the organization, the pressure they've been having from the county to not have games. That's where it's coming from. And it's funny because people in San Antonio talk so bad about Popovich being the reason why we don't have fans. That is not true, actually. So I wish they would get back to normal. Have at least some certain amount of fans. They were supposed to do it at the beginning of the year, and obviously that did not happen. But I was at obviously my job in the Alamo Dome, having the bowl game there, the Alamo Bowl. One of I think that's like the top 10 most watched bowl games, and very eerie. It went from 65,000 to I think 11,000 fans this season for the bowl game. Not something I'd ever expected. It was a great bowl game. Obviously, Texas won, but it's just a weird feeling with no fans.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I actually had a few friends that were actually at the bowl game, Texas alum, and so they were able to go. Just watching bowl season and college football as a whole. I love college football. Luckily, I was able to go to a college football game this year here in College Station, and it was a very good game. It was the A&M Florida game, which was a tremendous game to go to. But it's weird, and it looks weird on TV, and but having some amount of fans there, it helps a lot.
Obviously, we had, of course, the championship weekend, December 19th. We had a lot of the actual championship games. Notre Dame, of course, losing to Clemson. A lot of people thought A&M should have filled that fourth spot in the playoff bracket. I do think so. Of course, I'm a Notre Dame fan, so I'm a little biased on that one. But I do think A&M got cheated. I really, truly do. And, they ended up in another bowl game, though.
Yeah, I mean, A&M had a fantastic season. They had such a strong team, and they looked very, very good the entire season. The one hiccup was against Alabama early in the season when they lost by 28 points. This college football playoff, I don't like the format. It brings in so much controversy. There were so many teams that you could have probably put in that fourth spot. I even look at a team like Cincinnati. Yes, they lost their bowl game to Georgia. I understand that, but they went 9-0. People like to knock on their conference, stuff like that. They lost to Georgia on a game-winning field goal. They also lost their starting left tackle early on in the game to a targeting penalty. That the backup left tackle killed their offensive momentum because due to penalties, giving up sacks, stuff like that. Cincinnati was a very good football team. Me personally, I would like to see the college football playoff make a statement that says you have to win your conference to be in the college football playoff. I think that's the best way to go about it. I'd also like to see them expand the playoff, whether it be 6 teams, whether it be 8 teams, but set a precedent and not make it to where it is 10 people trying to decide who the best teams in college football are. At the same time, Notre Dame started off very slow in that game against Alabama. They lost by, 31-14. So it wasn't like it wasn't the best win Alabama's had all season, and it wasn't the worst loss that Notre Dame has had. So it is interesting to see. I know that a lot of my Aggie family do believe that A&M got cheated, and they have a valid argument. Their one loss was to the best team in the country, but at the same time, they also lost that game by 28 points. Notre Dame lost by 17 points. So it is interesting. On the other hand, you had Clemson and Ohio State. A lot of people didn't think Ohio State should have been there. They played 6 regular season games and were still able to win the Big Ten championship.
And Alabama only played 5 games too. Am I not mistaken?
No, Alabama played 9 or 10. But Ohio State
had like a 4-1 record.
No, the SEC was able to play a full schedule. They did have some. I think they had a couple cancellations. The LSU Alabama game had to be moved due to COVID reasons, but Alabama was able to play most of their games. But Ohio State showed that they are one of the best teams in the country and taking down Clemson and doing so in a very convincing fashion. It wasn't a close game. Justin Fields played his butt off. And so, all these people saying that Ohio State shouldn't have been there because they didn't play enough games, you have nothing to say now. They deserve to be there. They're going to the national championship game. Whether they beat Alabama or not, you have no say in the matter now.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Ohio. I think you're right. Alabama squeaked by Notre Dame. I don't think they have what it takes to beat Ohio State.
I don't know. Ohio State, I think, has a chip on their shoulder. They're playing with something to prove. Dabo Swinney ranked them 11th in his coaches poll, and I think, going into that game probably wasn't the best thing to do, because it gave them bulletin board material that they needed something to prove. They needed something to give them that extra edge. And Justin Fields showed last year that he is one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. He was a Heisman finalist this year. Obviously, there were things that Ohio State couldn't control. The Big Ten set their standards for when and where games can be canceled or moved or anything like that. Ohio State can't control that. They can only control themselves. And I think if they hadn't gotten the opportunity, we may have seen a different story. But they got their opportunity, and they took that opportunity and did something with it.
Yep, they did. But I think Ohio State's going to pull it off. And before we get out of this bowl games, I just want to give a shout out to the UTSA Roadrunners. This is like their second time in a bowl game. They actually played Louisiana and lost 31-24. But shout out to my UTSA friends and listening. I mean, they did a hell of a season. Limited fans, of course, obviously at the Alamo Dome, and they pulled it off this season. They really, really did, and so proud of them. I hope we get back to normal over there and get that place rocking again for UTSA football, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
All right, man. I think we just about did it. I think we just about nailed every sporting event so far. It's been a weird year for sports. Hopefully we never see another sports season like this ever again. We lost some crazy legends in the game of baseball. And I truly, truly hope we don't have another 2021 like this again, where we lose these amazing legends of the game that we love so much. And I know this year has been unbelievable this past year, and I just really, really hope we can truly get back to normal towards the end. I'm super excited. The women's Final Four is here. Rumor has it we could have the whole tournament, which would put me in heaven, obviously. My Yukon Huskies. I would go crazy. I would go crazy with Gino Ariema in the building. Definitely will make sure that I see him every day if he's there. But I'm excited. I really, really am for college basketball to really get kicked off. And I really, really hope they get to have a national tournament this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, talk about college basketball. One of the things I hated most about the coronavirus is that it took away the March Madness tournament. It's one of the best times of year. I fill out my bracket every year. I follow the games. It's a lot of fun. You get to see a lot of these small schools pull out upsets, and just to see the joy on their face as college kids, it's so much fun. So hopefully, not only that, but I'm also a big fan of college baseball, college sports in general, being able to see these players that are literally playing because they love to play the game and not necessarily for any money. And some of them are going to go and do professional things, great things with the sport. Some of them aren't, but college sports as a whole, we missed out on the March Madness tournament. We missed out on the College World Series. So I'm hoping and praying that all this is worked out and we can have those college sports back.
Definitely. I don't know what I would do without another season of the national basketball NCAA tournament. I don't think I can handle that again, especially knowing that in my backyard this year. In my office, I'm going to step out and see everybody walking down the halls and be excited about that. And I want us to get back to normal. I want us to be able to go to games. And I definitely want to be at Minute Maid Stadium when the Yankees are playing the Astros this season. You and I have this great rivalry with the Astros and Yankees, and I love it. And you're actually wearing your Astros gear, and I got my Yankees cap on. But I'm super excited. I'm ready for it, buddy. I really, really am. I want baseball in full swing. I want to see everybody there. I want to be in the action. great. I love to go. I love going to Minute Maid Stadium and watching the games there. Of course, every time I'm there, I'm rooting opposite the Astros, whether I'm getting hit with a tomahawk or not. I still love it. So yes, I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't either. And everything that's been going on in baseball recently with trades and free agent signings, it just makes me want it back so much more.
Yeah, but it has been fun. I always appreciate you coming on. We are going to keep doing this all year long. I hope you will continue to join me. This new
Absolutely.
way we get to actually see each other. We haven't seen each other in a while. So this is a different way for us to kind of connect. And this is the whole reason why I started the podcast. I can be able to visit and hang out with my family and friends. And I see a lot of our family members are always watching. So I do want to acknowledge one thing. Unfortunately, we have lost so many people to this crazy, crazy virus. And it takes a lot out of everybody. And I know we've lost, like I said, we lost so many legends, so many other people in our lives. We've all been affected by COVID. Today, again, Esther Guire, this one's for you. To all those teachers, EMS, firemen, police, you guys are doing a hell of a job. Nurses, doctors, I thank you. We pray for you every day. I wish you well, all of you, and get that shot, mask up. Buddy, it's been fun. Thank you so much for joining me.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me again.
All right, guys, have a good one. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, Kings Court with JJ. Share this video. Share our sports talk. We love you guys. Thank you.